I don't know about you, but I feel like I just took the deepest breath I've taken since, like, September.
Oh, absolutely. A collective sigh of relief.
It's done. It's finally done. Shane Bowen has been officially escorted out of the building. For us, I mean, for the faithful, this is more than just a coaching change. This is a necessary surgical removal.
It is. It's a moment of just ecstatic relief, and we need to channel that right now. This is for every single Giants fan who felt like they were watching the team just lose control week after week.
Yes.
We're going to break down, using the cold, hard numbers, exactly why this was not only justified, but frankly, overdue, and what it says about the front office.
Because for far too long, this defense wasn't just bad, it was structurally unsound. It was so soft, it made every single opposing offense, I don't care if they were veterans or rookies, look like an unstoppable juggernaut. Our defense in the fourth quarter was basically playing this passive cover 7, where the goal was just to let the other team score as quickly as possible. It was painful.
That emotion is completely warranted. So today, what we have to do is unpack the catastrophic failures of the Bowen era. We have to zero in on that run defense collapse, the vanilla scheme, and maybe most importantly, what this choice for his replacement tells us about how the front office is thinking right now.
Okay, let's not mince words. Let's just get right into it. The statistical case for firing this man should have been on the owner's desk weeks ago.
Weeks.
We gave this man 27 chances over 2 years to show he could stop the most basic offensive tackle run. And what was the result?
Dead last.
Dead last in the entire league. 32nd.
It's the definition of a systemic failure. And while being 32nd in rushing defense is, the headline stat, it's the decline across the board that shows a complete erosion of identity. The year-over-year comparison is just stunning.
Lay it out. Where did we really fall apart?
Okay, so last year, the defense was, let's just say, poor in points allowed. They were 21st.
Not great, but manageable.
This year, they dropped into the basement, 30th. But here's the shocker. The passing defense.
Yeah.
Last season, the team was 8th in passing yards allowed.
A bright spot. A legitimate bright spot.
A real strength. This year, they plummeted to 27th. When you go from top 10 to bottom 10 in 1 year, that's not a personnel issue. That is a fundamental tactical breakdown.
And it all starts with not being able to stop the run. It makes everything else so much harder. If you're giving up 6 yards a carry, why would the other team even risk throwing the ball? You become completely predictable.
Exactly. And that failure connects directly to the scheme's inability to generate any pressure. We logged only 10 interceptions. 10. Across 29 games.
That number is pathetic.
That miserable turnover rate is a direct result of being passive and predictable. You can't create chaos if the opposing quarterback knows exactly what you're doing before the snap.
And it wasn't just the numbers, it was the humiliation. We've all seen the quotes. Remember that game where Spencer Rattler didn't just light us up. He called us out after the game. Said our disguises were so weak, they basically didn't exist.
When a rookie is roasting your scheme in the media, you know you have a problem.
A massive coaching failure. And that takes us right to the soft zone saga, as you called it. It felt like we were watching Madden on rookie mode with the controller unplugged.
Right. It felt like a defense designed to prevent the deep ball at the cost of giving up everything underneath. But here's the thing. It didn't even stop the deep ball.
No, it didn't. So let's dig into that technical failure. This is where everyone criticizes the passive and risk-averse philosophy. Why was that constant 4-man rush with the vanilla zone behind it so bad?
Well, the problem is twofold. First, Bowen consistently relied on a 4-man rush with almost no simulated pressure. It was just basic cover 2 or cover 3 shells. So without sending extra guys, you're counting on your D-line to win their one-on-one.
Which they weren't doing.
And second, there was no pre-snap uncertainty, no disguise, no linebackers creaking up to the A-gap. The opposing quarterback had the easiest reads of his career.
It turned every drive into a metronome. Dink, 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 right down the field. And that's how those soul-crushing fourth quarter collapses became the norm.
There are 3 examples that just define the entire era. The loss against the Lions when we were up by 10.
Awful.
The loss against the Bears, again, up by 10. And the absolute backbreaker. Losing to the Broncos after holding a 19-point lead. In all 3 games, the defense just retreated into this deep, passive shell and gave up all the momentum.
It's infuriating. We know what aggression looks like. It makes you think of all the other decisions that were impacted by this. The offense couldn't be aggressive because they knew the defense was a sieve. It reminds you, Mike Kafka would have kicked that field goal.
Yeah.
He would have kicked it. We would have won that game, and we'd be talking about him as the clear head coach candidate right now. but the defense, you just couldn't trust them. We always had to play scared.
And that's a perfect example of the scheme's psychological failure. When your own coach loses trust in his defense, he starts playing for field position, which just guarantees the opponent gets the ball back late in game with a chance to win.
But okay, to be fair, we have to talk about the personnel problem too. The scheme was bad, but the execution was, at times, catastrophic.
Absolutely, and that's a complicating factor. It wasn't just the scheme, it was the scheme combined with this stunning inflexibility. When Paulson Adebo got hurt, the team had to rely heavily on Banks and Black.
Which was like throwing them to the wolves. They were not ready.
The numbers are they're damning.
Yeah.
The team's completion percentage allowed jumped from 64% when Adebo was healthy to an unbelievable 92% when Banks and Black had to play more.
92%, that's not a real number.
It's basically a completed pass by default. And those two guys, specifically, allowed 5 touchdowns in just 5 games. They were targeted mercilessly.
So that's the ultimate question about Bowen, right? Given that Adebo was out and Banks and Black were clearly getting cooked in man coverage, why did he keep running the same 4-man rush man coverage combo? Was the scheme itself that broken, or was he just too rigid to change?
I think the analysis points to the inflexibility. A great coordinator adapts his system to his talent.
Yes.
Bowen seemed determined to force his talent into his system, even when it was getting historically bad results. The defense was just plain as dry cereal. And that refusal to adapt is what makes this a coaching failure, not just a talent failure.
And that stubbornness, that refusal to change, that brings us directly to the front office. This is where my frustration just boils over. Because Bowen's inflexibility was obvious for a long, long time. Why did management let it go on for so long?
Well, the implication is pretty clear. The front office was potentially too scared to fire a third DC in 2 years. Not after all the drama with Wink Martindale. They prioritized looking stable over being competent.
And that fear cost us wins. You can't make decisions based on avoiding bad headlines. You make decisions to win football games. That's why I'm looking at this whole thing and asking, how is Joe Schoen still in charge? How do you tolerate a 32nd ranked defense for this long? This speaks to a deeply flawed culture.
And that slow, fear-based decision-making leads us right to the choice for the interim replacement. Charlie Bulan.
The outside linebackers coach.
The outside linebackers coach.
Well, we have 2 experienced former defensive coordinators already on staff. It makes no sense.
Precisely. Bulan was promoted over 2 former DCs, and this is the key thing to analyze. He has 0 prior defensive coordinator experience. The sources kind of dismiss him, saying he coached at Illinois last year. It's meant to highlight how inexperienced this choice is for a crisis situation.
I am so deeply skeptical. I want to be wrong, I really do, but this feels like another low-risk, optics-driven choice. They don't want to bring in a high-profile veteran who might rock the boat. This is a test drive with bald tires and a smoking engine.
That skepticism is well-founded. If you wanted to fix this immediately, you'd hire a veteran, someone who can come in, simplify things, and inject instant aggression. By picking Bulan, the front office is signaling that internal continuity is more important than proven tactical skill.
So what does that continuity even look like? If Bulan just keeps this bland, predictable philosophy, we're still going to be giving up 150 rushing yards a game. We need chaos. We need aggression. We need someone who is going to surprise an offense for once.
The hope, I suppose, is that he brings a completely different energy. Maybe he can leverage his expertise with the linebackers to generate pressure in new ways. But the risk is immense. You're asking a first-time coordinator to solve a historically bad run defense that a seasoned pro couldn't fix in 2 years.
Okay, so let's synthesize this for everyone listening, for our fellow Giants faithful. Let's lock in the key takeaways. First, Shane Bowen's tenure was statistically indefensible. His defense was so soft, collapsed everywhere, and finished with that shameful 32nd ranked run defense. We cannot stop the run, period.
Second, the front office, and you have to point to Schoen and ownership, was painfully slow to act. It seems like it was due to fear and prioritizing optics over winning. And that failure to act earlier has led us to this questionable choice for an interim replacement.
And third, the immediate future hinges completely on Charlie Bulan bringing that chaos, that secret sauce we're all hoping for, because the current strategy is fundamentally broken. We need a tactical shift right now.
And the choice to elevate him, an unproven coordinator, over a veteran, it raises a really profound question. Are they prioritizing organizational stability over immediate tactical success? It seems management values a quiet, internal process over demanding results from a proven voice.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on as we watch the rest of this season. Can a team truly reinvent its defensive identity in the middle of a season when the structural issues, like that inability to stop the run, are so deeply broken? We need a coach who gets bold, who understands that prevent doesn't mean preventing us from winning. We are so tired of the predictable. We demand aggression now. Just wanted to say a massive thank you for tuning in to Big Blue Tea.
Absolutely. And, a huge shout out always to BLKFREEZYTV.
Oh,
For
definitely.
the fantastic programming, the production, everything that makes this possible.
Yep. Their work behind the scenes is just really appreciated.
It really is.
This has been Big Blue Tea.